Remember Resident Evil 5? It was the game where Chris Redfield finally said enough is enough and decided that black zombies also deserve to taste sweet lead. It was an okay enough game, especially in co-op, but it certainly wasn't a Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 5 was where the series finally lost its damn mind and decided to become a straight up third person shooter, disposing of any horror elements that made the series successful in the first place. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I wanted to make this video to talk about the amazing and underappreciated Resi 5 DLC chapter, Lost in Nightmares, which was released in 2010 for only $4.99. That's right, this incredibly well made, hour-long expansion to Resident Evil 5 only cost $5. What does $5 get you in video games today? Cool! I should also mention that all the footage you're seeing is from my PS4 version, which is nice because all the content is on the disc. Those were the days, eh? When you could just buy a game in a shop and everything was stored on the disc. These days when you buy a video game, you put the disc in your PS4, you start the game, only to then discover that you need to download a 50GB patch just to play the fucking single player campaign. So then you're like, that can't be right. The rest of the game must be stored on the other side of the disc. So you put in the disc upside down, but then it gets stuck in your PS4. So then you perform a satanic ritual to try and get the disc out. That doesn't work, so then you write to Activision to fix your disc drive. A week later you receive a letter from them saying, so then you decide to write to Santa for a new disc drive, but then you realise it's only October. It's a fucking mess. At least with Resident Evil 5 on PS4, you do not need to worry about such things. Lost in Nightmares tells a relatively straightforward story. Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine are given the apparent whereabouts of Oswald Spencer, the head of Umbrella. However, upon arriving at Spencer's mansion, Jill and Chris soon realise something is amiss. That's not supposed to happen in most mansions, right? Lost in Nightmare's setting bears a striking resemblance to the Spencer mansion from the first game, but with enough changes that it doesn't come off as a total rip-off. Playing through this DLC brought back several memories of playing through the original game for the first time all those years ago. Practically every reference to the first game I found made me squeal like a little schoolgirl. If I'm being totally honest, playing this DLC almost made me as happy as when I see Christmas lights in November. It's beautiful. Yeah, well, no one asked for your opinion, Susan. It really is starting to look like Christmas. What do you know? Unlike the base Resident Evil 5 experience, Lost in Nightmares actually has a few puzzles. They're not brain busters by any means, but I really appreciated their inclusion. It was nice to have to occasionally use my brain, instead of simply blasting away at everything in front of me. Level design is also excellent throughout the DLC. The map is fairly open and there are many optional areas you can explore for additional ammo or healing supplies. If there's one issue I have with Lost in Nightmares, it's that there's really only one type of enemy, that being these axe-wielding creatures that bear a striking resemblance to this chap from the main game. Don't get me wrong, he's a good enemy and I love his design, but I don't think it would have killed Capcom to throw a few zombies or hunters in here too, for good measure. Oh wait, I forgot, there are zombies. They just lie around and jump up on you when you walk past them, like some kind of surprise rapist or something. Ammo is surprisingly scarce in Lost in Nightmares, and sometimes it makes more sense to simply run past enemies instead of engaging them. I can't even describe to you how refreshing it was to be forced to carefully manage my resources again after playing the main Resident Evil 5 campaign. There is even a late game area that leaves you completely defenseless and having to figure out a way to deal with these creatures without the use of weapons, and that was incredibly intense. There is also a single boss fight at the end of the DLC, but I won't spoil it here. Lost in Nightmares is a short experience, clocking in at around an hour, although it can be completed much quicker than that if you know what you're doing. There are reasons to replay it, however. Jill is unlocked as a playable character once you complete your initial playthrough. You can compete for the highest score online, and there are also higher difficulty settings. The main reason to replay Lost in Nightmares for me, however, is to search for all the hidden references and Easter eggs. One of my favourite secrets in the DLC can be found by examining this door 3 times in a row. Doing so will cause the camera to switch to a fixed position like in the original trilogy. How cool is that? Overall, I loved Lost in Nightmares. Yes, it's short, but it's definitely worth a playthrough. In fact, the same could be said for Resident Evil 5 as a whole. It's not the best game in the series by any means, but it's still a very enjoyable experience, especially when played in co-op. Anyways, I'd like to thank you for watching my review, and please remember to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content.